Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you another Monster Legends Guides, where we talk about a monster's moves, their rune sets, partners, all that jazz. Today we are looking at Acles' pet. He is the newest pet to be released. He just came out today, and I gotta say, out of all the pet monsters, This is one of the monsters. I'm not saying it's the only one. The other one is Nishan's pet, but this is the only other like pet monster that's really worth get. I mean, like at the moment, he's the only other one that's worth getting. I mean, like, he's the only interesting pet. I mean, he's one of the very few interesting pets. He's the first one of his kind to do what he does. This is a really good monster, and a lot of players don't think he's all that good, but they don't see what he actually does. They're not taking the time to realize what he actually does. Uh, they think he's just too weird. They don't think he's any good because he heals enemies. That's one of the best parts about him. If you actually look at his kit, if you actually look into like one of his skills, that goes with his kit. It's part of his idea. He's like a tactical monster. He's a really strong monster, especially with his category in Team Wars. He's probably going to be the best attacking nature monster in Team Wars, because of his kit. I'll explain that as I'm explaining the moves and stuff like that. But all you need to know right now, if you're watching this video and you just kind of think Clay's pet wasn't all that great, he is actually really great. He's actually one of the best. I'm saying he's one of the best. He's not. I don't know if he's the best nature monster, but he's one of the best, especially on the attack. Uh, is this guy an attacker or is he a supporter? He's actually both. The thing with his attacking though, in terms of attacking though, he does his damage in percentage. He doesn't do like just straight up high end like physical damage like Judgment. He does his damage with percentages. And damage over time, whatever you want to call it, he does his damage in percentages. So his base power is 3091. This is a low power, but that's okay. But because again, percentages. That's all you need to know. Percent damage. Life 28,350. This is a pretty awesome life, and I will say should totally run 2 life runes. This guy needs to be out there as long as possible. Run 2 life runes. Speed 3,421. This is a pretty awesome speed. You may put a speed rune. I will say this is one of the very few monsters that it's again. I very recommend speed runes for very few monsters. This is a monster that I would recommend a speed rune, or you can put any other rune on it. Basically, the 2 runes you gotta run are 2 life runes. Anything else is fair game. Because his stamina cost is kind of high, so you might want to invest in some stamina runes, maybe a stamina rune, maybe, or like a strength rune to like up his attack against other monsters that aren't nature, or anything like that. Um, so yeah, these stats right now are pretty good. They're pretty good. They're kind of like Ecclesi's, just kinda. I think Eccles might have more hit points though, but they're kind of looking like Eccles stats. So he is on par with he is equal with his master. He's actually one of the very few pets that actually either stand equal to or beyond Eccles himself, or his master himself. Not many of the general, like most of the general pets that have been coming out aren't like in their like competitive level as their masters, except like Nishan's pet is like the better than Nishan himself. That's the only one, besides this monster besides this monster, Nishan's pet has been the only one that's equal to his master or greater. Soul Withered. This deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, may give regeneration to all enemies. Healing effects hurt target instead of cure, removes and blocks any shield applied on enemy. Okay, so this is actually one of the best alts in the game. For in terms of nature monsters, this is one of the best alts for nature monsters. This is really heavy. Okay, okay. I don't think none of the like player base is even realizing what this ult even does. This is basically his set. This is basically his setup. This is the best situation. This is what makes him great against all nature monsters. Is this ultimate and one of his skill moves. This makes everyone it gives enemy regeneration. Obviously, that's not a good thing, right? Because all they're healing now. It's just not a good thing. But you gotta understand, he's giving negative healing. He's not helping the enemy. He's not actually helping the enemy. It looks like he's helping the enemy, but he's really not. He's actually hurting the enemy pretty bad with this ultimate. Because what this ultimate does, again, it gives you say 20% regen, right? Obviously that's like that's plus. So I was like, oh no, I'm healing him. But you gotta look into this negative healing. They're withered. It's pretty much like trolled or anything like that. It's negative healing. They're not actually healing. They're actually taking damage. They're pretty much burned and nightmared. That's pretty much the combined percentage. If you wanted to think of it like that, they're basically burned and nightmared right now. So if you stack this up with any like other damage over time, you're doing a lot of damage. If you stack this up, you're doing a lot of damage over time. This guy's damage comes out from percentages. I mean, like he himself doesn't even have to apply the percentages. Like the enemy themselves can actually apply the percentages. You know, like all those monsters with like 30% self heals, if they use the 30% move while this is active, they're losing 30% health. You gotta understand that's nuts. If they do that, when this is going on, they've lost 50%. They've lost half their hit points, and they can't shield. They can't defend themselves. They can't save their hit points. They can't heal. They cannot heal that. They're taking damage over time. So this ult is really great. This ult's fantastic. No, there's nothing really in skill groups one worth mentioning. Maybe like this 2-turn 30% heal if you're interested in running that. Just that's an okay heal in terms of healing. That's a good single in terms of like cooldown and all. 30, that's an alright heal. It's not something you should. People probably won't run this move though, which is alright. But it is an I will say it's a option. It's better than like a single target 10 heal or 10% heal. But so yeah, you can run this move. This move is runnable. Uh, yeah, okay. So Bighorn Strike. This deals heavy special damage, heals by 10%, requires cooldown. This is a move you may run. I'm not saying it's the move to run on the offensive set, but he does have a defensive set. I will say that. You can run him on a defensive set. This is actually one of the moves you'd run on a defensive set. You may run, and you can also run it on the offensive set. Again, it kind of depends on how you want to build them. I will say any combination of the three moves, except for one move, there is one move you gotta have, which is auto effect. I'll get to that later. I kind of want to save the explanation of that. But yeah, this is Bighorn Strike. You can or cannot run this move. Basically, all you need to know about this move is it heals damage over time, like poison and stuff like that. This guy isn't immune to poison. I don't think I mentioned his trait. He is immune to possession. So this guy's kind of good. This guy's really good in like Magic Wars or like or Dark Wars even. If they're running like immune to possession, this is a good thing to bring to that fight. Or like Earth Wars. This guy's fantastic in Earth Wars. Curative Whirlwind. This all targets healed by 30%, requires cooldown. This is a good move. You may run this move. I will say it's an optional move. Well, I think a lot of people will run this move, but you may run this move. I'm saying it's an option. It's like, yeah, it is an option. You can run this move. Noxious Leaves. Deals very heavy nature damage. Enemy target heals by 25%. Removes all positive effects from target. Requires cooldown. This one requires a little bit explanation. Okay, this is one of his moves that this is one of his percentage moves. I will say you should run this on the offensive set. Do not run this move on a defensive set. But yeah, you want this move on an offensive set. This is basically one of his moves that combo with one of his best move. It combos with his best move, right? So when you use this move, do not use this. You use this move when they're not under regen. I will say use this on a monster that's not under regen. Excuse me, I was holding a belch there. Use this move when they're not under regen because you actually hurt your damage over time. If they're under regen and you use this move, you actually hurt your damage. You actually hurt the damage over time because this guy does his damage in percentages. So if the guy's under a healing effect and they're under the thing I was just talking about, like the negative healing thing, do not heal them of that. Don't you heal them of the regen. Use this thing on a monster that's not under regen or any like healing over time. Only ever use this move when they're not under a regen effect. So basically, the thing that's not a nature monster, use it on that, or just anything that's not under regen effects. I will say that this guy's also good in Light Wars. This guy's also phenomenally great in Light Wars because everybody used General Invar. So it's going to be really funny when you use use the move I'm about to talk about. I think I'll just talk about it now, so that way you guys can stop hearing me say, "Oh, I'll talk about it eventually soon." So I'm going to talk about it right away. Autumn effect or autumn effect, autumn effect, autumn effect, autumn effect. Healing effects hurt target instead of curing. Removes and blocks any shield applied on enemy. Requires cooldown. Realize this is a 3-turn dealio and only runs on a 2-turn cooldown. You can basically have this on the enemy the whole game. and that's actually pretty relevant. Uh, okay, I will say I will say this right now. Out of like the 17, yeah, I'm pulling up all the nature monsters now. Out of all the nature monsters, these are all the current nature monsters at the moment. Out of all these nature monsters, Larger Khan is basically the only one that isn't really can't really get harmed by this. In terms of himself actually doing it, everyone else can actually hurt themselves. Everyone else can actually hurt themselves because Larger Khan doesn't really have a 30% self heal, doesn't have any life regen. He's the only one that's not. He can't really hurt himself with like, with Acles' pet. He can't hurt himself with the thing. That's why he's so good. That's why Acles' pet is so good on the attack because all the other monsters have a healing move. I mean, they all use healing. They all have a healing effect. They have 30% self healing. They have life regen. They all hurt themselves. Essentially, they all hurt themselves. It's just not a good thing for them. It's never going to be a good thing when they're fighting a Acles pet. It's just never going to be in their favor. They pretty much can't use any of their healing. If they use any of their healing moves, then they just get hurt. They lose life. You gotta really take the time to acknowledge that they can't heal. So players are gonna have a hard time if they're using a monster that doesn't have like good. I mean, like if they're not running like judgment or anything like that, and they're like nature monsters attacks run on special attacks run on fairly high cooldowns or like because they need the honestly they like the life regen thing is to keep them alive and stuff like that, and they can't use that to keep them alive. They can't be tanky anymore because Acles pet has destroyed their tankiness. They pretty much destroyed their whole meaning and stuff like that. He pretty much got it out of there. He just got it out of there. They can't stall, like stalling won't be a thing anymore when this guy's brought up. The stalling is just non-existent when this guy's out. It's just not possible to stall when you use this guy on the attack. So yeah, I will say you have to run Autumn Effect. This is his best move. Run this move. Big Horn Assault. This deals very heavy special damage. Heals by 25%. Requires cooldown. This is obviously a 5% weaker move of like the usual 30%. I will say this is an optional move to run. Optional, that is like again optional. You don't have to run it. Again, any of these any combination of these moves, except like you have to have this move. Any combination of these moves is an okay set. Like any of these, just straight up any of these. Poisoned Remedy deals moderate nature damage to all enemies. All enemies healed by 15% may poison all enemies. This requires cooldown of 3 turns. This is his other percentage move. So essentially, when you use this move, if they're not immune to poison, they're obviously poison, right? All right, so they lose 15% of their health, and when it's on their turn, they're actually losing another 10%. So they basically lost 25% health. All right, this takes 25% health. If you do combo these two moves, I mean, I will say if you do combo these two moves, they've already lost 50% of their life at this point. It doesn't matter if they're running a life rune or something. They've lost 50% of their life already. That's pretty heavy. If they're not immune to, again, that's if they're not immune to like poison or something like that. If you use these two in conjunction, they've lost half their hit points already. There is literally no tanking with this monster, like none at all. It's like he forbids tanking. He doesn't let the enemy tank at all. Which is why he's really good on the offense. And being the fact that most of the monsters already heal, you could I will say he's not as effective against Lamu because like with Lamu though, I mean not many people only run the single target heal with Lamu, which could actually she could actually hurt the ally monster. But yeah, there are obviously a few nature monsters that don't rely too much on the self heal, like again with Lamu. General, I will say if you can actually, if Acles actually does the 100% heal, that's actually really funny. He's actually just gonna instantly kill the monster he uses it on. But yeah, I think Lamu is the Lamu is the only one that isn't too dangerous. Or doesn't have. There's a few monsters that aren't exactly 100% dangerous. Fernia, this thing right here, the crappy Christmas tree monster. Even though he heals and stuff like that, he's only a 15% heal. It's not too drastic. But yeah, all you guys really need to know about this monster is he's a tactical monster. So here's the move set I'd recommend you run. You have to for sure run Autumn Effect. This is the move you have to run. This is the offensive set, by the way. You need to run Autumn Effect just on any set. Run Autumn Effect. It's his best move. It's the main reason why you're even using the monster. This is a very relevant move. You want to run this move. You want to run Noxious Leaves. You want to run. Yeah, I will say. Okay, I'll say this. For the offensive set, you for sure need to run Autumn Effect, and for sure need to run Noxious Leaves, or like like the AOE maybe too. Maybe you could probably run the. I guess for a for sure set, I think right now at the moment I'm thinking Autumn Effect. I'm thinking Poisoned Remedy, Noxious Leaves, and I'm thinking either Curative Wind or one of the like the healing, damage healing moves. It would probably be Big Horn Assault maybe, but. Or it could probably be Curative Wind. I'm more so thinking about Curative Winds, just everybody's healed. I had I had a conversation with one of my subscribed friends and slash guildmates about like this monster. Like we brought up the discussion like Judgment and stuff like that. Judgment has like natural or like special moves that deal heavy damage and stuff like that. I will say bring this move in with those. I mean, like the heavy hitting judgment fights. You do want to bring this AOE heal, so like your ally doesn't suffer too much from it, or is like you can heal back what like he loses. You can actually again, this is a tactical monster. Be very tactical. Do the tacticalness. Be tactical about it. So yeah, This is the for sure set you need to run. You need to run Autumn Effect. You need to run Poison Remedy. You need to run Noxious Leaves, and you need to run Curative Winds. I will say you can switch out You can switch out either Poison Remedy or Noxious Leaves if you want a little bit more sustainability. You can switch one of those moves out for one of these moves. But then if you do that, you lose out of your percentage damage. You do lose one of your percent damages moves. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about the defensive set now. I'll talk more about the offensive set in a bit, but I want to talk about the defensive one set first because it's not too that's not too difficult to understand. So on a defensive set, you want to run Autumn Effect, you want to run Bighorn Assault, and Bighorn Strike, and Curative Winds. Why am I not suggesting any of these two healing moves? It's because like the AI isn't really, you're not controlling the AI, so they could actually use the move. They could actually use one of these moves at the wrong time. That's a possibility. And you don't want that. Honestly, you do not want to run like Noxious Leaves when you're not controlling it, because you could your AI controlled Acles pet could actually use this move without comboing it with like Autumn Effect first. That could actually be a thing. It's kind of hard to. I can't really say if this guy's AI idiot proof. Like I can't. I don't know how. I don't know. Again, I don't know how often he'd use Autumn Effect. Because he'd have to set up with Autumn Effect first. So that's why you want to run for a defensive set. You can run this as a defensive monster. You want to run Autumn Effect again with any set. Bighorn Assault, Bighorn Strike, and Curative Winds. Obviously, this seems like a really seems weird, but I think this is actually a pretty relevant set. It means like the enemy Judgment can't do his healing. It means like they can't do AoE shields. I imagine that's the only time you ever want to use this thing on a defensive team with this set specifically. Just in any situation, because players are going to have a hard time tanking your stuff. They just are. It's just the natural thing. Again, the Judgment's going to be forced to have to use his special moves. He can't go to his self. If he actually needs to heal, he actually can't heal. Players can't heal their monsters if they're under the effect of this. Like a normal person wouldn't decide, oh, I should use my healing effect while under this. They can't heal if they're under this effect. Or like with the Autumn Effect. All right, so I'm gonna get back to get back to the attack one now, the offensive set. So basically with this one, it's actually really not too hard to win an attack with this monster. Basically, all you need to do is use Autumn Effect, right? Whenever they heal and stuff like that, they themselves actually do damage. The nature monster actually contributes to their own death because with the 30% heal or like the regen, they just eventually die out. That's the whole thing. And again, you're doing percent damage. It's just to take advantage of the percent damage, and this Curative Wind just to heal all your allies. And that's okay. I want to talk about partners real quick. I will actually recommend you run either I'd say probably like if it's like a nature like a full on nature war, I'd actually recommend you run Plymouth with this guy, just to increase like his damage output overall. I mean, like this guy, if this guy could do like effective damage, then he just does more damage. Because this is a 60, you gotta realize the base power of this is 60. He has like all of his single target moves are really high end damage moves. If he has like if he has an effectiveness against it, then he does more damage. And Plymouth would be a great partner for him, honestly. Plus, he's given it like Plymouth gives AoE regen, so this guy's healing too. Uh, I'd say like Invar, in general Invar would work great with this thing. Just a lot of monsters as long as this guy's out, all you need to know, the longer the fight is, the longer this guy's more effective. Or like, if it's a long battle, this guy will win. This guy will win at some point. I mean, like your team will win at some point. So as long as you can tank and actually like apply your, damage over time effects, at some point you will win. I don't know how. I don't think he'll be that good on a like when you're fighting. I will say if he's on a defensive light war, he might not actually be all that great, because Invar could remove the effects. I mean, like again, AI is not 100% idiot proof, or like the set isn't all the way. But like yeah, Invar could actually just remove the negative effects and all that jazz. And that's all you really need to know about Acles pet. I'm actually going to do a discussion video on this monster later. Not today, probably tomorrow or like the weekend. Talking about this monster a little bit more. If you love this video, go ahead and click. I'm going to put a link in the description when I actually have that done. If you want to listen to the discussion. And yeah, that's everything I have to say. I'm Did the Awesome. I'll talk to you guys later.